where Texas won, and then the 2 times under Sully where Florida won. So it was neat to just to see a different feel. You like walk around the stadium and you see how different things are, and certainly they have a lot of advertisements and different sponsors and different people that they utilize. But crowd was nice. People were very nice. Stayed downtown, so that was unique too, to be able to walk around and a lot of different restaurants and bars. Almost like I guess you would say mini Nashville, although it's probably bigger than Nashville. So when it was all said and done, certainly winning helps, but it was a good experience for everybody.
We talked about this last week. We kind of recited the numbers where Texas was really good in the SEC in pitching, and they were below average in hitting, and that's the way it panned out.
Yeah, and Florida had to pitch going in there to be successful, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, we saw what Aiden King did, but I think winning the Friday night game when you had a bullpen game, so to speak, and Pierce starts, goes 2 innings, and other guys stepped up. Billy Barlow was great that day, and that made a huge difference. But to me, the key was it took Texas out of their game because Florida scored first in all 3 games. And certainly the big 6 spot in the first inning really changed them around. And you felt pretty confident because it's like, well, I don't even know if Texas will score 6 because they haven't been able to do much damage. So that was the case. And then we saw Saturday with the rain delay happen. That was unfortunate because Liam had only gotten to throw 4 innings again, and he was throwing really, really well. And then you come back from that, you have 1 bad inning, and that was it. Gators only gave up 1 run or 1 inning the entire game where they scored a run. And then, of course, King was awesome. So, yeah, they could be pitched to. And, I mean, King showed that you can, if you spot fastballs in and out, you're going to mess up a lot of people, and he did it really well.
All right, we have a lot of questions from last week. Let's do our questions of the week, brought to you by Meldon Law. Meldon Law with 50 years of experience, the only injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down. You can send your questions to questions@gatorshows.com. We'll do half of them now, half of them later in the show. Madison in Gainesville, navigating significant player injuries while achieving a conference record from 1-11 to 13-14 warrants consideration for Coach of the Year. Does Sully merit this recognition given these circumstances?
Well, because the expectations weren't really there, I think, once the 1-11 happened, so it could be possible. But remember, all those years where Billy Donovan was winning and the teams were really good, that coach never won Coach of the Year. So it is sort of these lesser coaches that you don't expect, although, what LSU's doing now and certainly some other things. But, yeah, I think this is one of his best coaching jobs ever. It took the players and everybody else to buy in and get involved. But remember, Steve, when all these injuries happened, they were kind of at the same time. And I think they were trying to figure out, okay, well, it's not like one here and then we can adjust, or one there a couple weeks later we can adjust. They had to figure out a whole different lineup, move guys around, and it was a lot. And I think it took guys to figure out what roles to put in. And then, of course, Clemente and that change and that role was probably the best coaching job yet by what that staff was able to come up with. But, yeah, you give Sully a lot of credit, Chuck and Kopp and Taylor and all those guys that have worked through it all. They've worked hard and moved guys around. Stripling had to start at second base because Nato got hurt over the weekend. That was the 5th different second baseman to start this year, which is nuts because you thought Curlin was going to be the guy all year long, and obviously they've had to make some adjustments. So really good job by the staff for sure.
And I think, Madison, the players deserve a lot of credit too. And Sully mentioned that a few weeks ago that, they were kind of shell-shocked after all those injuries and, this isn't our lineup and we're struggling. But they didn't quit. They stuck with it, and now you see the fruits of that. Greg in Gainesville, Gators have won 5 consecutive league series, 15 of their last 19, 12 of 15 in the SEC, defeated the top-ranked team. How has this team improved since February and March?
I think, like we were talking about, guys just figuring out roles, but they've pitched better. When we saw these pitchers at the beginning of the year, they couldn't get anybody out. They weren't throwing strikes, and what happened when you won a couple of games at Texas? You threw strikes. They only walked 3 in that first game. Aiden King, was great after the first 2 walks. So That's what it's all about. And if you don't give opposing teams chances, it's really hard to string together 2 or 3 hits in an inning. So I think that's been the biggest key is figuring out some of these younger guys. Caden McDonald's been good now out of the bullpen. To me, Jenkins the last couple of times out has been really good. Christian Rodriguez, he gave up the homer on Sunday, but Now 7 of his last 8 outings, he hasn't given up a run. So I think guys are just starting to figure out how to pitch now at this level, and that's made all the difference.
Yeah, those young arms are growing up. It's good to see. Rick in Gainesville, pitching appears improved in his 10th career start. King pitches 7 shutout innings, 9 Ks against Texas. Who deserves credit for the improvement? What factors have led to the pitcher's current success?
Oh, he's been good all year. We went to Texas, first road game that he's ever thrown in the SEC, and he goes 6 innings and gives up 1 run. And that was the game that Florida couldn't score, so they were losing 1-0. And then after King came out, they gave up 9 the next inning and get run ruled 10-zip. So he's been doing it all year long. Earned run average is under 3 now, which is pretty special. And a couple of the innings through games where he hasn't been successful, not necessarily his fault. He had the one game where he gave up 5 runs, but only one of them was earned because the Gators had 3 errors.
Yep.
So he's been consistently good all year long, and certainly he has the mindset for it. And I think that's, to me, is the key. Like he pitches like he's not scared. And for a freshman, that's rare. And a lot of the other freshmen don't have that mentality, but he can throw 4 pitches whenever he wants to, and he can locate, which is very unique compared to the rest of the guys on this staff. And I think that's why you saw him be so successful, because he could get that fastball in under the hands a lot of those right-handed hitters on Sunday.
And think of what David Kopp has done, trying to juggle those young arms. They didn't give up on those young arms. They kind of stuck with them. They mixed and matched, and now all of a sudden everything's coming together, and it's coming together at the right time. Frank in Gainesville, this is a great one, Jeff. What needs to happen this weekend against the Tide for us to host a regional?
Yeah, I think if you win 2, you finish 15-15. RPI would then be significantly better because you now beat a team that's top 10 RPI in Alabama, so that would probably put Florida into the top 10. If you sweep, to me, it would be a lock. You're 16-14 in this league with all the bids that it's going to get, and you then beat an Alabama team that just took 2 out of 3 from Georgia. So they've been playing really, really good. So it's kind of crazy to think about, where when we started this show a month ago, we're sitting here talking about what do the Gators have to do. There was always that 12 number. Remember, we threw that out there. If Gators can get to 12 SEC wins, they're in. And now they're already at 13, so this weekend doesn't even factor into that. So give these guys a lot of credit for doing that and putting themselves in this position. You would have won 6 straight SEC weekends then if that's the case. So, yeah, I think there's no doubt that Florida would host. And Scott Strickland, by the way, is on the committee, so maybe that would help influence a little bit.
Doesn't hurt. But let me caution. Alabama's a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff just mentioned beating Georgia 2 out of 3, and they play like their coach. He's a very emotional guy in a good way. They play with a lot of fire, a lot of grit. This should be a really fun series. Sarah in Hawthorne, Jonah Williams, the Texas Oscar winner, really was dramatic and annoying. Should he stick to baseball or maybe go to drama school?
Well, he's actually one of the best football players in the country. That's why he went to Texas, but a really good baseball player as well. So he will play football. He's a safety, and he's a stud athlete. He's 17 years old, so he got here early. He's supposed to be a senior in high school right now and playing on his high school team. And I think, listen, everybody acts like that now with the travel ball BS and everything else that goes involved. That's what kids do. And I think, Florida has a program that doesn't encourage that. And it was great to see Schlossnagle come out there and basically say, hey, dude, chill out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand the situation here. It's 8-1. Florida's got the lead, and you don't need to stare down the pitcher and then walk to first. And he's a big guy, but then he gets to first, and all of a sudden he's got to look at Brody Donay and looks up like this. Oh, crap, what was I doing? So he toned it down the rest of the weekend. It stinks that he was the one that got that big hit Saturday that cleared the bases, because love to have struck him out again. But I just think it's a learning experience for him, and that's the way he's been. He's never known any different. Now, if he's playing for Kentucky and Mingione, or if he's playing for Tennessee and Vitello, you fit right in. But there's programs like Florida, like Arkansas, like Texas now with Schloss, and it was that way with him at A&M last year. There's certain coaches that are going to put a stop to that. They're more of that big league type of atmosphere and what they do. So I think that was all the difference in the world.
Let's see here. Jake in Gainesville. The weather delay on Saturday significantly shifted the game's momentum. and the rain delay proved detrimental to the Gators. Why do rain delays seem to negatively impact our team more than others? And Peterson appears to be associated with every delay.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, Florida did win all the games last week against South Carolina, so it just happens to be like that. But it was very eerily similar to what we saw in that 2022 regional with Oklahoma. Remember,
Yes,
Florida was beating
yes.
Oklahoma, and they looked lifeless, and they were worn out by the heat, and then all of a sudden it rained, cooled things off. They got to reset, come up and get a big hit, and that was it. And that was very similar to what we saw. Texas was dead to the water. Peterson's throwing lights out again. He had not given up a run, and I think he would have been able to get through probably 6, and then you can go to Clemente in that situation and probably win that game as well. So it certainly hurt, I think, but it's a part of it. Sully's never going to make excuses for that. It just thinks that you now lose your ace when he's throwing really well like that.
Yeah, I feel bad for Liam because he's been the guy in those rain
sure.
delays. Evan in Gainesville, Florida plays the number 1 team in baseball. All 3 games are not on regular TV, only on paid streaming. How can that be? One was on
The first
ESPNU.
one, Friday night
think.
was the nationally televised game.
Yeah.
They decide those before the year starts, and there's other big series. Remember, Florida wasn't even ranked going into that weekend, so
Right.
yeah, Texas might be the number 1 team in the country, but you want to put Arkansas and LSU on TV. That's 2 top 5 teams. So there's other games. So I know obviously we're Gator fans, or you Gator fans listening want to watch the Gators all the time. You can with the streaming, or you obviously can listen to us on the radio, and you can always turn down the stream if you want to hear our broadcast as well and sync that up. So a lot of different ways to go about it. But yeah, don't be offended that Florida wasn't on national TV. There's just this is a league that when A&M was going to make it, now they won't because losing to Missouri. I still think 13 of the 16 teams get in to the tournament. We saw the teams that got in with softball. So there's a lot of other good teams around there other than the Gators.
Yeah, and no offense meant here, but if you take your orange and blue glasses and your Gator hat off, Arkansas LSU is the better matchup.
No question.
Nationally. It just is. Rachel in Alachua. Texas has lost 3 games at home all year. Gators given their 4th and 5th losses. How happy are the FSU and LSU fans as their Noles and Tigers fight to be top ranked?
Yeah, LSU's now number 1 in the country, and Florida State is 2. We'll see what happens with Texas. They get one of their better hitters back. He's been hurt for a few weeks. The leadoff guy hurt his shoulder, so he was a little bit banged up. That's why he was DHing and not playing the field. So, again, Steve, how many times over the years have we talked about playing guys at the right time?
Yep.
And that's exactly what Florida did. If Florida plays Texas at the beginning of the year or even 3 weeks ago, they lost their ace as well. He's hurt. He was in a shoulder sling when he was announced for senior day, and he was their Friday night guy. So we just happened to be playing them at the right time, which was a good thing. And that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Timing is everything. It is. Bo in Gainesville, Donay hit his 14th homer, tying Bozer for the most of the team. Our offense has gotten better. Can this offensive power lead to a surprising performance in Omaha?
It's a good lineup, but imagine how much better it would be if you had Curlin and Joan, guys like that. So, yeah, we'll see. It's Bozer hadn't hit a homer now in 13 games, I think. So that's why he's been stuck on 14 for a really long time. That was the only homer that the Gators hit all weekend was Donay, and it happened to be on an 0-2 pitch, and he hit it in the perfect spot right into the jet stream. Other than that, he had driven in 2 runs over the last 10 games, so he hasn't been very good. It's been hit or miss with him, but I mean, that's why he's in the lineup. He can run into a ball and come up with a big base hit and certainly a home run, and that's exactly what he did. And you hope that the bottom part of the order continues. Now that Ty Evans is back, he's been swinging a little bit better, which has helped. And you hope Ty gets right at the right time because we saw him earlier this year where he went 45 games without even driving in a run.
Yep.
So he's very streaky. So you just have to hope that guys are hot at the right time and they're seeing the pitchers. And this offense is capable of being really good, but it all has to click.
All right, those are our questions of the week brought to you by Meldon Law. We're going to finish them a little later on in the show. We have a lot of them today. Best and worst of the week brought to you by Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance. State Farm agent Ruse Ogre is your go-to agent in Gainesville and North Central Florida for the service you deserve at the price you want. Best and worst.
I think best just for those that have not been to Austin, I would encourage you the next time the Gators get to go out there, go. It's a different city. I found out stuff. I think the last time that we went on a road trip for baseball was to, that was Lubbock. So that's kind of what you think of what Texas is, and Austin was completely different. You got out from the city a little bit. I went on this nice hot hike right by the Colorado River, and there's these $1 million homes and different things to walk around. And obviously the barbecue's really good. The tacos are awesome. So if you're a foodie, then you can get out there and have a good time. A lot of fun bars and different things to do. So I think Florida might go back in like 4 years, so maybe 2029. So if we're all still around, then go back out there and make it a trip to Austin. The people are really nice too, and they had maybe the best to me was they had a mariachi band performing during the game, so that was really cool.
You don't see that very often.
No, you definitely do not.
No, and don't hate on me when I say this. Maybe it's just where we were in Lubbock, because you don't see everything of a city.
Yeah,
but it just seemed like we were just going, remember that road we were on? Just nothing after we got out of Lubbock. So glad you got a chance to see Austin. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Much more to come here on the On Deck Show. Stay with us.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
At Comfort Temp Heating and Air, we're proud to celebrate 40 years as your #1 local HVAC company. We offer energy-efficient solutions featuring quality products from Lennox. Whether it's new installation, system repairs, or routine maintenance, we promise to never sell you anything you don't need. Our professional and experienced technicians provide reliable service you can trust and will keep you informed throughout the entire process. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
Don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best price. International Diamond Center, located in Celebration Point, for quality selection and value. International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators. All right, let's continue on now. Let's do our Coach of the Week, Jeff, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, putting some star power to work in your financial life for 90 years. Campus USA Credit Union. Coach of the Week.
Well, it's tough. A lot of different things that are going on, but because we are local, I think I want to give a shout out to Ron Brooks at Buchholz and what they were able to do last year. The Buchholz Bobcats make it to the state final game, and before we left on Thursday, Buchholz was playing Wednesday, so they switched the high school playoffs now. So you have to win 2 out of 3 in the first 3 rounds. So Buchholz breezed through the first couple. So all right, Wednesday I'm going to get to go. I'm going to watch and see what happened. They just got throttled by Pace, and now you're basically down to your back's up against the wall. You have to win on Thursday, and then you have to go to Pace, which is like 5 hours away up in the Panhandle, and win that game. So not only did they win the Thursday game, but they went up to Pace, battled some rain. It was supposed to start at 2 o'clock. They didn't play till 6 o'clock, and ended up pulling it off in 8 innings in a very hostile environment. So give a lot of credit to Ron Brooks and Buchholz. Now it's 2 straight years after never making a Final Four in program history. Lost a lot of seniors last year, several guys that went on to play college ball, and they got right back there again this year. So with the backs up against the wall, you got to give those guys credit. There's a lot of talent on that team. You've got 2 guys that are going to JU, J.J. Gardner and Aiden Cashensmith. Both are going to Jacksonville. So you've still got some talent there. Kai So, who's actually going to Harvard, is hit 2 homers in that game on Saturday. So it was a fun team. And then Sean Brewer got a big hit in extra innings to win. So kudos to the Bobcats, where there's a lot of great coaching jobs. Obviously, Ron Brooks, Chris Malfers, Gilman, and the rest of those guys have been doing it for a long time, and they pulled it off. So it was awesome.
All right, my Coach of the Week is named Mike Glavin. No relation to Tom. He is the coach at Northeastern. They're in the top 25 in the D1 baseball poll. Yeah. He's been the CAA Coach of the Year 4 times. And, Jeff, I don't care where you're playing. Their team earned run average, 2.99. That's in today's college baseball, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So he is Coach of the Week. We have Team of the Week brought to you by Comfort Temp Heating and Air. They're your #1 local HVAC company. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort our business. Peace of mind, our promise.
I don't like to say it, and I might, during the commercial break, throw up after doing this, but you do have to give credit to J.D. Arteaga and Miami. They swept Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was in consideration to be a top 8 national seed. And, we're thinking even last week that might be a spot that Florida would go to and have to play them. But, now Miami's back to even 500. It helped their RPI a ton. They jumped like 25 spots in the RPIs. Wow. So it almost puts them now in it. Now you still got to do a little bit of work this weekend to, win a couple of games. But, Miami, just like Florida, was down and out. They had no chance of doing everything, but they kept fighting back, climbing back into it, working hard. There was conversations of JD getting fired at the end of the year, but I think he certainly saved that, and he's done a tremendous job with a group that completely looked out of it. So give props to the Hurricanes. Don't often like to do that. Probably my least favorite baseball team out there in college, but he's always worked hard. I've always admired JD and everything that he's done. He's obviously loves that program and being a part of it, and he's got a chance to do something now.
But there is no better place once every 2 years to go to and win.
Yes,
and beat
correct.
them. No better place to go to do that because of their fans and whatever. But you're right. Give them credit. And I'm going to mention another Miami guy here in just a second. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More of the On Deck Show coming up. Make sure and stay with us.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious.
Gator fans. Let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
Well, fans, don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best price. It's International Diamond Center, located in Celebration Point. For quality, selection, and value, International Diamond Center is the official jeweler of the Florida Gators.
All right, we're about halfway home here in the On Deck Show. Time for our Relief Pitcher of the Week, brought to you by QC Kinetics. If you have joint pain that won't go away, check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. Who you got?
Well, I mean, if you're giving it for a relief pitcher, I would say Billy Barlow this week. And, I mean, for what he did and having to come in after Pierce and hanging up a bunch of zeros was huge and helping that bullpen game win it. But I want to exaggerate now relief pitchers because there was an interesting story, and D1 Baseball does a great job. Encourage you to check out all their stuff if you're a college baseball fan. But that's kind of the poll that everybody uses now for everything. It's what Florida uses. They had a story on there yesterday that I was reading, and for all the games that their staff goes to, it was the 100th pitcher this year that they saw throw 97 miles per hour or harder.
Wow.
And I'm reading through the names, and it's incredible. So, I mean, think about that. That's just the guys that they've seen at games from their staff going around. They've got 5 or 6 staff members that go to different games, but it just shows you now what relief pitchers are doing and how hard they're throwing. And several Gators were on that list, certainly, and what they're doing. But it's nuts. And the guy that we saw at Arkansas a couple of weeks ago, the one that got pulled out of the game and probably is going to need Tommy John now, he was the hardest pitcher of the year, and it was 102. And you're just like, gosh, these college kids now are just absolutely incredible what they're doing. But that's what the game has turned into. And, I thought I was the coolest dude on the planet the first time a radar gun said 90 when I threw it. And I'm just like, all right, my life's over. This is great. I can die tomorrow and know that I threw 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And now if you're throwing 90, you're like throwing pus. It's just it's incredible. Pitching's really, really hard. Hitting's even harder, having to hit those guys. And for those that can control it and do a good job with it, it's crazy. So highlight to really all the relief pitchers and everything that's going on right now because, I mean, our sport has drastically changed in the last 15 years or so.
Well, you know I'm a little older school, right? And Alabama has a closer, Osmer, who's got 15 saves. He tops out at about 89 to 90. So he is the antithesis of that.
Yeah, we'll see him this weekend.
He's the old school guy who doesn't have to throw hard necessarily to be successful. So he is number 3 in the country with his 15 saves, and Florida will see him. But maybe not a chance for saves. Let's hope not. But if there is, Florida's going to see him without much question. Okay, our game of the week brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Quality Plumbers, Gainesville's trusted for over 30 years. Quality Plumbing, their name says it all.
Well, I think for me, the one I'm watching the most is probably Tennessee going to Arkansas. And Tennessee now all of a sudden is scuffling. They've lost 4 straight weekends. And if they lose to Arkansas again in a series, they're probably not going to host anymore. Like, that's how far that they've fallen, which would obviously be awesome. And that might even then propel the Gators to be hosts over them.
Yep.
From, you look at record and standpoint, RPI, all that kind of stuff.
Be rooting for Arkansas.
Yeah. And then I think another one, it's going to be really interesting. Kentucky kind of came out of nowhere, and they had a huge sweep over Oklahoma this past weekend. They weren't going to probably make it, but now they still have to go to Vandy. They might have done enough to be able to do that. So I think those are the two that I'm watching. And how about Vandy, Tennessee last week? You know, we talk about matchups and different things. Those two teams just absolutely hate each other. And after the final game, they were even jawing and kind of got up in everybody's face and going at it. But this final weekend is going to be crazy. I mean, certainly Florida, Alabama is one of the bigger series that's out there, a couple of ranked teams. But anxious to see what Tennessee does. I am definitely a Arkansas fan this weekend, and it'd be nice if they can spank Tennessee around.
This is how competitive the SEC is going into the final weekend. There are 6 teams within 2 games of each other that could go either way in terms of, depending on what they do, hosting a regional or not. And those teams are, as you mentioned, Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Florida, all within 2 games. And Kentucky was left for dead. I watched the last game that they played against Oklahoma, and, you know, typical Kentucky stuff. But give them credit for doing what they did. And then Mississippi State, that when we saw them, Jeff, they were not very good. And the coaching changed. They're all of a sudden at 12 wins in the league. They get one more, they're probably going to be in a regional, so give them credit.
5 of 6 since the firing. So it worked.
Yes, so give them credit. Player of the Week brought to you by Florida Victorious. Game-changing plays, life-changing impact. Florida Victorious, proud partner of the Florida Gators on and off the field.
I'm going to give it to Hayden Yost, and he just continues to be really good. He's sitting in the 7 hole for the Gators and had 3 huge hits again on Friday night. He's driven in more runs than anybody over the last 6 games now for the Gators. He's been a big part of that offense. So we talk about, you know, being able to hit 1 through 9. He and then Ashton Wilson, then NATO at the very bottom have been responsible for a lot of runs during this winning streak for Florida. So Yost is starting to figure it out. It's really nice to see. Such a good kid. Works really hard defensively. Robbed a couple of homers last week. Balls that were up against the wall. He made another really good play out in Texas going to his left. So I think for me, if we're talking about just quality, and, you know, that's what Quality Plumbing is. I mean, they've been doing it for such a long time now. That's why the name's in there, because it's quality and quality of everything that he's doing. He even laid down a sack bunt, and he was your hottest hitter. But he did what he was asked to do, and it led to a run for the Gators over the weekend. So it's not just hitting bombs left and right and driving in runs. It's doing all the little thing to be a ball player. So that's why he gets it.
Since you brought this up, I was going to mention this later, but it's a good segue here. I really admire, appreciate, whatever that word is, coaches that change and adapt. Look, let's take Kevin O'Sullivan. He's won how many games, been to Omaha how many times, right? So, but look what happened to his team from a year ago to now, Jeff. They realized we strike out too much. They realized we don't play small ball enough. They altered their roster, who they got in the portal and who they got on the field, where the stolen bases aren't even close to what it was last year. They doubled it or whatever it is, right? And they've laid down not many, but more sacrifice bunts this year. So they've adapted, and I think that's great because I think in life you have to keep adapting. And Kevin O'Sullivan's done that. He had a proven way to win, but he saw what happened last year with too many people left on base, too many strikeouts. He altered the roster, and it's paid dividends. Yeah. I think that's great. My player of the week, remember I said about Miami? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, Daniel Cuvée, remember, good player, he's got 74 RBI now. That's number 3 in the country. And that's one of the reasons why, as you mentioned, Miami's making this late season run. He's a good player. And, you know, whatever you want to say about Miami, Cuvée is doing a very nice job. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We're going to finish up our questions of the week. Much more to come with the On Deck Show. Stay with us.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
At Comfort Temp Heating and Air, we're proud to celebrate 40 years as your #1 local HVAC company. We offer energy-efficient solutions featuring quality products from Lennox. Whether it's new installation, system repairs, or routine maintenance, we promise to never sell you anything you don't need. Our professional and experienced technicians provide reliable service you can trust and will keep you informed throughout the entire process. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
All right, it is time for our 7th inning stretch, courtesy of Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover 11 delicious Cuban sandwiches at Miapa Latin Cafe. They've got 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You are never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. And some extra incentive to go to the final game on Saturday. Not only is it senior day, but Miapa, little birdie tells me, is going to give you some coffee on the way out. So that's going to be awesome. You know, we've been clamoring all year to get that free coffee after the Gators win at home. So now you get to get it immediately. Yeah. Don't even have to go one of those 5 locations. So shout out to Miapa. They've been awesome for Gator baseball all year long. And they have definitely gotten Steve and I through those early Sunday games for sure.
No question. We would be remiss not to talk about Gators softball. Let's do our softball review, brought to you by Silverback Concrete. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete. Here's a number, Jeff. We talk about Sully, right? Tim Walton at Florida is 50-9 in regionals. That's
stupid.
It is stupid, but that's what he is.
In a good way.
And yes, in a very good way. And here they are back again, number 3 national seed. For everybody that had heartburn about where Florida would end up, they end up very well.
Yeah, give them credit. So the SEC tournament didn't matter. I would assume that's probably going to be similar to baseball, unless you're one of the teams that really need to win, maybe a Kentucky or something like that. But yeah, Florida was solidly in, and when you look at the RPI, you look at the strength of schedule, I think there was thought that they should get one of those top seeds, and now you got to see what you got to do. So it prevents you from playing the number 1 seed A&M. Eventually you would have to play 2, and that would be Oklahoma if you got out there. But hey, you get that couple of opportunities at home to win a super, obviously a regional, and then a super, and get out there again. And just you got to give him credit too. It's crazy to think they were ranked 6 in the SEC for the tournament, yet they're the top 3 seed overall when it's all said and done. So it just shows you how tough the league was. There's that fine line of them obviously playing better down the stretch, and then just the whole resume with that strength of schedule really proved tough for them.
How about if you're a Texas A&M fan? Your baseball team was preseason ranked number 1 in a lot of polls, and they have just tanked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, injuries have, but they got 10 SEC wins, I think 10. So they need something big time to propel them. And the softball team is the overall number 1 national seed.
Yeah,
crazy. And baseball was preseason number 1, didn't make it that way, but softball is certainly there. And once again, Jeff, the SEC well represented in the NCAA.
Yeah, top 4 national seeds are all from the SEC, and Tennessee's in there at 7. That's going to be a tough one too, because Tennessee might have the best pitcher in the country. So yeah, a lot of interesting ones. LSU's got Nebraska coming to them, which is going to be tough because Nebraska's got the player that transferred from Oklahoma, and she's had a great year, so they could stroll into LSU and win. Sometimes that's all you need. We've seen over the years one pitcher really get hot and ride them, and the game's changed a little bit since then. But there's some SEC teams that might even get knocked out, but a lot of them are in it. And my guess would probably be 8, 9, or a max 10 making super regionals.
Wow!
Out of the 16 teams that'll make it, you're going to see more than half of SEC teams in a super regional.
I agree. All right. I'm going to change this around a little bit, Jeff. Top 4 teams brought to you by Coke Zero. The new and improved recipe tastes like real Coca-Cola with 0 sugar and 0 calories. Give me not the top 4 nationally, but if I said to you right now, top 4 teams in the SEC in baseball, who would you say?
LSU for sure. I think you look at now what their pitching staff has done. They might have just 2 stud starters, so it's going to be really difficult to mess with them. I still really like Arkansas. I think that they're that good. I still think you have to say Georgia if we're going to sit there and talk about that as one of the more elite teams. And then I might throw Auburn in there for what they've been able to do.
Underrated.
Yeah, very underrated. They've quietly won 7 of the last 9 over the last 3 weeks. So, they're, to me, a lock to be a top 8 national seed now, and that could be a really tough out. So, yeah, give credit to those guys. So I think those would be my 4. Vandy could maybe sneak in there. They're right on the verge of doing that. And again, we want Vandy to smoke Kentucky this weekend. That'd be fun. But yeah, there's a bunch. Even if you look at the Gators where they are, 10 or 11, there's still a chance to sneak into the top 8. Now it would take some help to get there. Alabama's ahead, but obviously beating them would do it. Ole Miss would have to lose a couple of games, so it's doable. But Florida will probably be 8, 9, or 10 somewhere when the SEC tournament starts next week.
I agree, because Auburn had a bad year last year, and they bounced back. So give them a lot of credit. All right, let's continue now with our questions of the week, brought to you by Meldon Law. Heather in Gainesville. Pierce Capolla's 2-inning performance, outstanding. Looks like the injury's behind him. Can you update us on where he stands?
Yeah, same thing. I think the goal was to try to get him 3 innings. It really just depends on the pitch count for him. He's slowly working his way up. About a month ago, started throwing, and then there's just that normal progression of time. And Florida's athletic trainer Jarrett Swime does a great job with those guys, and they're on a plan, and that plan is to increase the pitch count every single week. So, you went 2 weeks ago, certain number. Now you're this number. I would probably say you maybe get him about 50 or 60 pitches. So if he's throwing strikes, then that'll get you 3 innings.
Yep.
The next outing for sure. So that is the goal. And then you would hope then in a couple of weeks, if you need him for a regional, which would be awesome, then you've got the ability to throw 4 or so. And remember, that's what they got out of him last year. It was right around 4 in the regional and super regional, and then had to throw that game against Kentucky and Omaha, and he was dominant in his 4 innings there too. So nice to get him back this time of year.
No question. Let's see. Roger in Gainesville, despite an SEC tournament loss, softball surprisingly positive on Selection Sunday. They received a higher seed than their national ranking. Was this due to their RPI and strength of schedule?
Yep,
yes.
Exactly.
Chase in Gainesville. I know this is baseball and softball, but how about Gator lacrosse making to the Elite Eight? Jeff, I mentioned this. You got both golf teams in the NCAAs. You've got lacrosse doing what it's doing, softball, and now baseball. Pretty good spring.
Yeah, spring is always better around here. It's busier for us. I think a lot of people look at football and say, oh, that's, the time of the year, and that's the biggest sport. But if you look at just everybody that's involved in Gator athletics, the spring is just absolutely crazy. And obviously winning a lot. And normally you can throw track in there, and swimming and having success too. So yeah, it's really cool to see what lacrosse has been able to do. Won the conference tournament, so they were conference champs, and now they've got a chance to go to the Final Four for the 2nd straight year. As we're talking about that, and this is still a young program. They just had the Gator athletes inducted into the UF Hall of Fame, and they announced those last week. Finally have our first lacrosse player that's getting in, and now you're going to start to see more and more. But it's a sport that is certainly raised a lot of eyebrows and gotten a lot of attention, and they've done a great job. It's fun to go out there and watch and support, and that was a nerve-wracking game.
Oh, against Stanford, you betcha.
Yeah.
But they persevered. Manny O'Leary's done a really nice job there. Chris in Gainesville, can you give a report on the Gators and the pros?
Sure. Well, yesterday was actually a big day. Your boy Pete walked it off for the Mets. Big sac fly to help the Mets win again. He was the National League Player of the Month. Let's see. Wyatt hit a homer yesterday that ended a no-hitter. Chase Dolander, if you remember that name, he was pitching from Tennessee. He's pitching for Colorado, and Wyatt hit one right center off of him. He's hitting 2-hole now for the Rangers. I mean, India's playing a lot. He's doing some really good things for Kansas City. Singer hasn't lost yet, pitching for Cincinnati. He's off to a really nice start there. And then you've got some of the smaller guys. Coer's going through some rehab, and I'm sure the name everybody that wants to know is Cags. Is he in the big leagues yet? Not there yet, but he had a tremendous week. He hit, I think, 4 home runs. He's up to 7 or 8 now in the minors. They're playing him in right field, and athletically, I think he can handle that spot.
Yep.
The Kansas City outfield as a whole is hitting about 250, and he's hitting about 350 in the minors with a whole bunch of home runs, so I'm not sure how long they can keep him down there.
Yeah, and I think that obviously they saw that at the big league level, and he is capable of that, and he's done great. Justin in High Springs, if we sweep Alabama or win the series, can this catapult us to the top 25? They're already in.
Yeah, in Baseball America, they're actually ranked 13th this week.
Really?
That's how high they were, yeah.
Wow,
and
I didn't know that.
D1 Baseball's got them 23rd, so they just snuck in there. But yeah, if you sweep Alabama, then book your tickets for a regional here in Gainesville. I would say mark it down. That should probably be a no-brainer.
You would think so. Morris in Gainesville, were either of you broadcasting the game when we faced number 1 Texas A&M when we swept them back in 2016? I think we did that series.
Yeah.
Because I remember going into it's the first time I've been there, and going in and seeing all those big buildings, those apartment buildings, and I just thought to myself, I hope Gainesville. Well, shortly thereafter, what happened? The landscape of Gainesville changed.
And they're sponsored by Bluebell, so always free ice cream in that A&M press box.
Love that.
Good thing.
But one year we didn't get it.
Yeah,
remember?
The next time we came, they didn't have it.
We went to, and the thing was empty. The case there was empty. Come on, it's Bluebell.
Yeah.
Dexter in Newberry. winless in the SEC. Missouri sweeps A&M. How crazy is this? Can it cost A&M dearly? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think A&M makes it now. There's really no way when you look at it from an RPI standpoint. And it was crazy. A&M had a 6-1 lead. They ended up blowing that game, lost 9-6, and then it's almost like the players just gave up because they got throttled in the next two games. And Missouri had a whole bunch of hits, really took it to them. And you wonder if they gave up then. I saw that, Gavin Grahovac was their leadoff hitter, really good player, big part of that team that went to Omaha last year. He said, because, there's a lot of conversation now, are they going to fire their coach after 1 year?
Yes.
And he said, if coach comes back, I'll come back, basically implying that he's going to transfer if they don't keep him. But you can't hold somebody hostage like that in a program. And, I think, one player. So you have to look at the whole, way that it's gone. I know there have been injuries, but I mean, come on. A&M's going to be the first team that was preseason number one to not make the postseason in 35 years. That just doesn't happen. So it's obviously something happened there.
Yeah, the injuries were part of it, but
look at the Gator injuries.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah,
Florida had injuries too, and they rebounded from that. And there is, from people I know there, a lot of fans there that want Coach fired after 1 year. We will see. Mitch in Gainesville, 7 of the top 8 seasoned softball or SEC teams. This conference seems to dominate in all sports. Why?
It's the best. It just means more
money
and money too. Yeah, but that is the slogan. And remember, Steve, I think it really started when Sankey came out and said we need to get SEC basketball better.
Yes.
And you had to hire better coaches. There was almost like a force to say we need to put something towards that. Baseball's always been good, football certainly, and it just there was a mindset that needed to change. And then of course the support and the money, like you're talking about. But it makes it hard, especially now with Oklahoma and Texas coming into the league. It's really hard to win championships now, so it will even mean more if that's the case. But it does give you that strength of schedule that you need and everything else that's involved to help teams then get into the postseason.
Yeah, Mike Slive started that, and Greg Sankey followed through on it because Mike Slive said very openly, because that was the year I think the SEC had 3 teams make the NCAA tournament. 3.
Yeah.
And he said, not good enough. We have to invest in facilities, invest the money in coaches, and it was done, and you see where it is. We'll take our final break, come back, and wrap up our On Deck show for today. Stay with us.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Success doesn't happen by chance. It takes skill, dedication, and a winning team behind you. For over 40 years, Quality Plumbing has been the trusted name across North Central Florida, delivering reliable service, expert craftsmanship, and results you can count on. From the locker room to the living room, the track to your tap, commitment to quality is how success is achieved. Teamwork, experience, community, that's the winning formula. Quality Plumbing. Our name says it all.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious.
Gator fans. Let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators. Visit us online at shopidc.com to see the selection of premier diamonds you can't get anywhere else. International Diamond Center, your family-owned diamond connection located at Celebration Point. Well, Jeff and I are going to be in the booth for Alabama. Then we're going to head to Hoover for the SEC tournament. And needless to say, Jeff, 3 really important games, not just for Florida, but for Alabama too.
Yeah, I think they're right there in that consideration to host, and they're going to come in here and play hard. Listen, I think a lot of people that I talked to yesterday, Florida's going to smoke Alabama now because they just did that to Texas. That's not the way it works. And, I think Alabama is playing well right now, certainly what they did to Georgia and winning a couple of games. But, their average isn't the best, so hopefully if Florida can pitch to them again, be able to do some different things. In SEC play, they're not hitting all that well, but they've got some dudes that can throw. So Florida's going to have to be able to score, and I would hope that a lot of people get out to the ballpark this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and then Senior Day on Saturday, support these guys. It could be the last time you see them, but hopefully not. If you support them enough, then that might help them get some W's where you see them for a regional.
I'm a little superstitious because last week I mentioned Texas's numbers offensively, and they didn't do well. Well, Alabama is number 14 in batting average, number 14 in hits, and number 13 in runs in the league. So they're not a great offensive team, so maybe that will help Florida here as we get set for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That is our On Deck show for today. Thanks to Zach for producing it. We thank you for consuming it and watching it however you do. For Jeff Cardozo, I'm Steve Russell. We will talk to you again when the Gators get set to play at the SEC tournament. Till then, so long, everybody.
We thank you for listening to On Deck with Jeff Cardozo and Steve Russell, presented by the International Diamond Center. The show and the On Deck show archive is available for you via podcast.